Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our series on the explanation of the bonds, the QPACs, and the SATPACs. This is going to deal specifically with bonds and how the SATPACs and QPACs will be converted into bonds. And so we need you to understand a little. We cannot take the time to explain everything to you because then we would be opening up the floodgates for individuals to manipulate the process and devalue them. And the issue is we are creating value for our bonds. We'll explain this to you in just a moment. Ladies and gentlemen, we just did a video for everyone on the SATPAC and the QPAC explaining to them about the notice of assignments and the EIN number and how to utilize the EIN number. You're going to see that we're going to be playing music in the background. The music will be tasteful, not tasteless, but it is the design for which you found this information, the site, and we're putting this information together for your benefit. So we ask that you indulge us just slightly and pardon us as we bring this information to your attention. What are bonds? Most people think they have an idea what a bond is. They often hear about bonds. They hear about bearer bonds. And remember, a bearer bond is payable to the issuer. A bond is payable to the issuer. Pay attention to the word that I'm using, issuer. The person who issues the bond is the one who receives the payment. Your QPACs and your SATPACs are bonds. They are not bonds by SATCOMM. They're not bonds by SATCOMM. They're not bonds by any of our corporations. They're bonds by your corporation. Your corporation is the one who is providing the value to your bond. Okay, let's do it this way. Notice the signature on your bond. Notice who the grantor is. The grantor is the issuer of that bond. But now the bond only has the value, follow me, that you paid into it. However, you have loaned that bond to us. It is our job to provide you with backing to that bond in return. So this is the way it will work out. Each of you who have issued a bond to us, the agreement is you received an official copy. That official copy has to remain intact in its original condition. Any type of damage done to that bond will decrease the value of that bond. You will be required to send us that bond in exchange for us sending you a copy, original copy of the same bond. What you were not aware of is when we received the SATPAC or the QPAC back, we had several copies. That's why we sent you 2 copies. One of those copies you have to send back to us, and it has to be in its original condition. The further it is away from its original condition, the further down the value of that bond becomes. We will take the bond that we received from you, we will assign our tax credits to that bond. And when we assign our tax credits to that bond, we'll return it to you. Does that document the total value of the bond? No, because you're free to do with that bond at that moment with the notice of assignment that will be done with that bond. You're free to take it and literally deposit that bond. You'll have to do the research as to how to deposit your bond upon receiving the tax credits. Now notice what Forbes says. Bonds are investment securities where an investor lends money to a company or a government for a set period of time in exchange for regular payments, according to what they're saying there. But that's not true. Bonds are not just secure investment securities where they do it in exchange for regular payments. No, it does not have to be regular payment, but this is an investment security. All bonds are investment securities. Look at the second one, investor.gov. Okay, this is a government website. What are bonds? A bond is a debt security, similar to an IOU. The borrower issues bonds to raise money for investors willing to lend them money for a certain period of time. Let's click on this because this is going to be our definition. No, ladies and gentlemen, I do apologize. The way things are normally done by us is we don't do the research in advance. We just explain the information to you. So what we're going to do, sorry, we're just going to make it just a little bit smaller, but make it big enough for you to see. Again, bond is a debt security similar to an IOU. The borrower issues the bond to raise money from investors willing to lend them money for a certain amount of time. We were always planning on going to 4 years, not beyond 4 years. We are not at the 4 year mark yet, and it looks like we will be going ahead and sending the bonds back and bringing their maturity at a 3 year period. Each bond, depending on the type of bond, we have SAA and we have the SATCOMM and I said SAA, I apologize. The SATCOMM Arbitration Association is not a bond company. I was meaning to say SITCOM, the Securities Investment Trust Commission. Ladies and gentlemen, the Securities Acquisition Trust Commission, or SATCOM, and the Securities Investment Trust Commission were set up for this very purpose. That is what the names imply. Securities investment, investment bonds, securities acquisition, acquirement bonds. Let's go ahead and deal with the rest of the definition here. When you buy a bond, you are lending to the issuer, which may be a government, municipality, or corporation. In return, the issuer promised to pay you at a specific rate of interest during the life of the bond and to repay the principal, also known as face value or par value of the bond, when it matures or comes due after a set period of time. We were planning on going to 4 years, but again, because the bonds are a taxable event, because they have value, we will be going ahead and issuing the bonds back to each of you at a rate of at the very least, 1 million per SATPAC in tax credits. That's the first thing. Just need you to follow me for the moment. That's at the very least. It depends on the SATPAC. It depends on the value of the bond as to how much, in addition to the 1 million, will be applied to the bond. Second, if the bond is heavily damaged that you return to us, that will decrease its value, and it will depend on the damage. Will it decrease it to zero? Only if there is no bond. The only way it can be decreased to zero is if there is no bond. We will be assigning CUSIP numbers to these bonds. These CUSIP numbers that we will be assigning will not be on your end. It will be on ours. We created our own bond. You see, that's why we received several copies back. These are not yours. These are ours because we paid for that service. And those will be used for internal use. And we must let you understand, you have the original. Yours bond will have a separate bond number than the bonds that we create. The bonds that we create are for internal purposes because they were an investment, the same as yours was an investment. Once you receive your bond back and the tax credits assigned to it, that will give that bond its value. Remember, it says the issuer promises to pay you at a specific rate of interest during the life of the bond and to repay the principal, also known as face value or par value of the bond, when it matures or comes due after a set period of time. We will be giving you at least 1 million in tax credits per bond. When you receive that, you will have received at least 100 times more interest, actually 100,000 times more interest than initially the bond was worth. So we'll be increasing that bond's value to at least $1 million. and again, I say that that's at the very least. When we give you the tax credits and the notice of assignment and the contract of assignment, where the organization receives the assignment, then they will have a notice of assignment. You will receive a copy of that to go with the credits. Once you have those credits, because this is all on, should I say, um, payments that are due and not received. We've waited more than the 6 month period. We've carried the tax credits forward because the law permits us to do that. We're going to assign that tax credit to you. At that point, you will be able to, as a member, a partner of the organization, you will be able to take it to your tax agent and file it with your normal taxes, and you will be able to carry whatever portion of the credits of the taxes that you do not use, you'll be able to carry it forward. If any of this sounds a little too difficult to understand, please understand this, that over the coming months, we will continue to explain what we can to you. Okay? It was never the intention of the organization to explain anything more than what you see on the website. So please go back to the website, read the SATPAC and QPAC pages that apply to you. Those of you who have the Defrauded Homeowners of America and you're a part of that group and you've paid into that group, then the agreement that was made originally, that was placed on video, is the agreement that will be complied with. And you will get a portion of the tax credits that came from that, which is greater than, I think it was $6 billion. And I'm sorry, it was $798 billion is where it started. $6 trillion is what that contract says. Now, please understand that contract involves well over 150 million people. So when we say $6 trillion, that's the divisible issue. So I just need all of you to understand that it is divisible according to the way the agreement was. But it definitely will be greater than $5 million per person in tax credits. We're working out the math now. Please be patient with us because we are having to do this without a lot of help because there's not a lot of people who have knowledge of this, not a lot of people who've ever done it before, and we're trying to get there. We do appreciate all of your patience, assistance, and we thank you for taking the time to be involved in the SATPAC projects. And we say to you, if there's anything we can do in the future to help, we will do the best we can. We cannot answer all questions, but we can answer your basic questions regarding these things. Ladies and gentlemen, we do want to thank you for being a member, being a part, being involved in the SATCOMM adventure and the sitcom endeavors. And may all of you please have a very good day. Goodbye.